So this is a week of really good 49ers running back news. Christian McCaffrey has just won the NFL's Salute to Service Award. 49ers have gone back-to-back because George Kittle won last year. And on top of that, there's this thing called the Hall of Fame. And the 49ers might get two running backs into the Hall of Fame on Thursday. Roger Craig, who's been waiting for a long time, and Frank Gore, whom I caught up with yesterday here in San Francisco. Let's get right into it. Frank Gore, this might be the last time that you hear from Frank Gore when he's not an NFL Hall of Famer. Frank, big day coming up on Thursday. How are you feeling this week?
I'm blessed, man. Blessed, nervous, but, it's a good nervous. Like I say, I'm blessed to be named 15 among the 15 finalist guys who to get in the Hall of Fame. My first time eligible. Now, I just got to wait to see if I get the nod. But I'm having a great week. I'm happy to be out here, doing different appearances and stuff around the city, San Francisco. But I'm good.
It's been a long time since you were a third-round pick coming out of Miami, and we talked about the two shoulder surgeries, the knee issues you came out with, and then you were a model of durability, 16 seasons, 16,000 yards. I wonder, do you still remember the list of running backs picked before you in that draft?
Yeah, I do. I told myself, when I did get drafted, after the first year, when Cadillac had Rookie of the Year, I told myself I'll never let anyone in that class outdo me again. But the list, first bat was taken was Ronnie Brown for Miami Dolphins. With the second pick, I would say fourth pick was, God bless his soul, Cedric Benson. The fifth pick was Cadillac Williams. Cadillac Williams, the fifth pick, 2005 drive. Then with J.J. Arrington. I got Eric Shelton.
Okay, Eric Shelton. Yeah. All right, there you go. So you remember all of them, even to this day, which I think obviously helped fuel you for the years. Now, this is a cool week for 49ers fans because they've been waiting for a long time for Roger Craig to get in.
I'm happy, man. A guy who I always respect. I thought he was a hell of a running back, Super Bowl winner. I think he won three Super Bowls. Man, I'm happy that he getting in, man. I'm happy that he getting in.
He was somebody, we all talk about Christian McCaffrey now, catching the ball. Roger went 1,000 before anybody. How much did you talk to him or watch some of his tape, or how much do you think that his versatility influenced your game?
I would say I talked to him when I first got here. But I felt like, he was tough. He ran hard. Like you say, he did everything. He caught the ball, blocked. So I felt like, as a back, you wanted to do all three things. And yeah, I did that. I did the same. I ran, I caught the ball, I blocked, so being a Niner, and you can't do nothing but respect Roger Craig. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm happy for him this week. I'm happy that he getting his name. He'll be a Hall of Famer.
Oh, in your post-playing career, you've advised the 49ers, and one piece of advice that you got really right. I still remember in 2020 you were on the Jets, and you were teammates with Sam Darnold, and he wasn't what he is now at that point. But you said that this guy's really good, and look what's happened now. We're a few days away from the Super Bowl, and Sam is a QB in the Super Bowl.
I'm happy for Sam, but I wish we would have beat them. But, I'm happy for Sam, man. I know he was good because, I've been around ball for a long time. And, when I was on the same team with him, I just saw the talent. And I just know, like, football, it can't just be you out there. And, I respect everybody who make it at this level. But when I was there at the Jets, man, I felt bad for Sam. Because I knew what it took for a player to be great and for a team to be great, and he didn't have that over there. But I saw the talent, and I was calling and I was telling people when people would have been always say he was bad, and but I see him every day, and I saw the on script, I saw the talent, I saw he was smart, and I'm happy for him, man, because he his career up and down. Anybody with a career like what he had to deal with probably would have gave up, but he stuck it out, and look what he in a Super Bowl now.
Do you remember the play late in that game where he was running around and he threw back across his body? It was a crazy touchdown against the Niners in 2020.
Yeah. Early on, it was like before half, I think. I know you're talking about. Yeah. I remember the play. Yeah, I did.
I think a lot of people saw that and they're like, yeah, I think this guy just need a
Man.
chance.
I always tell people that he could play, man. Just that you got to have the right surrounding around. You got to have the right supporting cast, man. And the last 2 years he's been killing it.
You get the knock on the door. I think it'd be Thursday, right?
Thursday.
What are your feelings going to be leading up to that? What are you going to do on Thursday to pass the time?
I'm just gonna relax. Like I say, man, I'm blessed. I get the knock if I don't. I'm still blessed, man. When you, like I said, you think about my career, man. How hard it took me to get here at this level, man. And being a finalist, first time being eligible for the Hall of Fame. It is what it is. I get the knock, I'm great. I'm happy. I don't. I'm still happy. I'm still happy and blessed. So Thursday gonna be a blessed day, no matter what.
So Frank acknowledges that he's going to be nervous, but it seems that he's at peace during this week where he might be notified that he's been elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And wouldn't it be something if Frank Gore and Roger Craig both got in the same year? I think that'd be poetic justice for the 49ers on both levels, right? Roger Craig should have been in a long time ago, the first ever to do 1,000 rushing and receiving yards in a single season. He paved the way for guys after him like Marshall Faulk, for Christian McCaffrey, who we're talking about today, winning that NFL Salute to Service award. And I think for Frank Gore, I asked Frank about it in that interview, which was part of the Super Bowl art unveiling. We're going to show you that and the artist Charles Fazzino in a little bit. I was able to talk to him about the poster that they unveiled. It's like a three-dimensional art poster. It was really cool. Event was up here by the water in San Francisco. But the Frank Gore disrespect over the course of, I think it's waned a little bit over the course of the past few years, but toward the end of his career and for the first couple years after his retirement, there had been talk like this guy wasn't a shoo-in to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He needs to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Only two players have more rushing yards in their entire careers than Frank Gore. They're Emmitt Smith and Walter Payton. Frank Gore, as I said in the interview, 16,000 rushing yards in 16 seasons. Yes, he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. The narrative that it took him too many seasons to get to the 16,000 rushing yards to immediately be in the Hall of Fame is absolutely idiotic. It is as dumb as some of the many narratives that we see surrounding Brock Purdy, surrounding the quarterback position. Football's got a bunch of stupid commentary because there's so many people that are interested in it. So it's really hard to, I think, eliminate some of the stuff that just doesn't make any sense. But one of the worst takes that I've ever heard is that a running back in a violent sport should be penalized because of his durability. And not only was Frank Gore somebody who was able to do this for 16 seasons and average exactly 1,000 yards per season. That is the model of consistency. Not only that, he did it after having 2 shoulder surgeries and a knee surgery before the NFL draft, where he was picked in the 3rd round. So, just think of that in terms of modern 49ers context, right? Think of that in terms of, oh, look, 49ers, they picked another guy with an ACL. They picked another guy with an injury history. There's no way that he's going to stay healthy. He's going to be out of the league within 2 years. Frank Gore had that type of injury history when he came out of the draft, and then he played 16 seasons at the position that probably takes the most physical abuse out of all the positions, and he gained 16,000 yards. He defied expectations, not only of draft pick order coming in the 3rd round. You heard him list all the running backs taken ahead of him, but he also defied expectations based on his injury history to show tremendous durability. And that durability alone is first ballot Hall of Fame worthy. On top of the durability, though, he produced 16,000 yards over those 16 seasons. Anyway, at this Super Bowl event yesterday, Charles Fazzino, he's an artist. He's based in New York. He produced the Super Bowl art 10 years ago for Super Bowl 50. Now he's producing it for Super Bowl 60. Frank Gore helped unveil the art at the gallery up here in San Francisco, and I was able to talk to Charles as we looked at some of his work, including the Super Bowl stuff, but also including some of his Greater City stuff up on the wall. Have a listen.
See the KGB sign in Moscow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll talk about that.
No, we can move over to these though.
I always hide little stuff in a lot of my pieces. People love finding, like little messages.
That's the best art. I think it has to, in movies too, right? You have to read it on a little bit of a deeper level.
With my artwork, it's not like, for many people, they go to a museum, you look at it, you don't know what you're looking at. You look at my artwork, you can see the amount of detail. People really identify with it because of the color and the intricacy. And I think that's been a big thing for me, that, people enjoy it that much. And I found that out during COVID, that people would tell me that how much the artwork meant to them. They were depressed at home. They'd see the artwork on their wall and made them happy. It made me happy to hear that.
Well, speaking of what the artwork means, the reason that this event is here is because of San Francisco and the Super Bowl, and it's the officially licensed NFL artwork. I know this is the city proper with Alcatraz and a lot of the sites. We can get to the stadium stuff in a little bit, but here I noticed they used the Transamerica Pyramid as your centerpiece.
Yes, so this particular piece is really, it's a one-of-a-kind painting. Many of these start off like this. If you look at this one's on canvas. So it's actually painted on canvas. It's a one-of-a-kind piece. And what I did was I picked the highlights of San Francisco to put into one piece. And then when you look at other pieces, then it really centers around just one theme, just the stadium with downtown or something. So, but each one of these pieces all start off as an original piece.
I wish that downtown was that close to the stadium.
I know. Well, the NFL says, the licensing department always has said to me they want to have some geographic reality to it. So it's sort of like I have to steal reality a bit and use an artistic license to get the city in there, because Santa Clara is so far away, But I managed to do it using artistic license.
So as far as these stadium ones, and maybe we can step over here really quickly and go to the original one. This is from 10 years ago.
Yes.
Super Bowl 50. So you're capturing some history here as well. But what I really love is that this is even more detailed with the city over there.
Right. Yeah.
What are you most proud about? Okay. What are you most proud about with this one?
So again, using artistic license, but I wanted really, San Francisco and this whole area is surrounded by water. So I wanted to bring that fact in, and have a lot of water involved in this piece. I wanted the piece to be really authentic, in what you're looking at. And also to bring it across that it's the 50th anniversary, a big milestone.
The big milestone of the 50th anniversary, that was 10 years ago. That was the original artwork that Charles did for the Super Bowl, and now he did Super Bowl 60's artwork you saw unveiled there with Frank Gore. So fun event last night, the Super Bowl and its festivities just building up. I'm going to be hitting up Radio Row tomorrow. That's in San Francisco. Today I've got to go down to San Jose. Got to speak with Mr. Darnold himself. As you heard from Frank Gore, Sam Darnold showed talent even in the dark days, even in the early days. And Frank Gore recommended to the 49ers that they sign Sam Darnold in 2023. And you heard that. He said, I felt sorry for Sam in New York because I knew that he didn't have the help that he needed. That goes in line with what Steve Young said at the movie premiere last week. Steve Young played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers earlier in his career, and they sucked. They didn't give him the support that he needed. And because of that, he didn't have good numbers. He didn't have a good start to his career in Tampa Bay. Traded to the 49ers, worked in a system where he had the support that he needed, not only with the coaching, obviously Bill Walsh, but with players and teammates around him. And Steve Young thrived, and he turned into a Hall of Famer. So I think that we've seen something similar, and Steve says that he relates to Sam Darnold, and then it just happened that another 49ers great, and Frank Gore got to play with Sam Darnold in New York, and he predicted this, said that Sam can ball out. He told the 49ers, sign this guy. They helped turn around his career by giving him a good setting in 2023. You know, somebody else who was a teammate of Sam Darnold's, who I think recognized his talent earlier than the mass public recognized his talent, was Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey and Sam Darnold overlapped in Carolina, where they became good friends. Well, Christian McCaffrey has now won the NFL's Salute to Service Award. Here is the 49ers video announcing this from this morning.
Christian McCaffrey, Salute to Service recipient. Excited to present him his award back-to-back. Second time ever in NFL history. Hey.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Christian. Hey, come over here. You notice how I've been saying congratulations to you all day? Well, congratulations. You are the Salute to Service winner and recipient of 2025.
No way.
You won it this year. It says it right there. Winner.
That's cool as hell. I was gonna say it's the second gift George has given me this year.
Woo! Come here. You can give a speech now with my microphone.
You guys caught me very off guard.
Good. I'll hold it. Don't worry.
Thank you.
No, you hold it.
It's actually a huge honor. I don't take it lightly when it comes to serving our troops and our veterans and all of our military members, and I know being able to
Cool stuff. 49ers go back-to-back. Only the second time in that award's history that teammates have gone back-to-back. Kittle in 2025 or 2024 season, and then Christian McCaffrey here for the 2025 season. So big week for 49ers running backs. And, you know, Mike just texted me this. He says if both Frank Gore and Roger Craig get into the Hall of Fame tomorrow, I think it would be perfect because they're going to take the stage at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco, and that is the spot for the NFL honors this year. And you know, we did a show from the Palace of Fine Arts just a couple weeks ago to start the 49ers off season. We'll probably have to do something else from the Palace of Fine Arts. Maybe even this evening we'll do something from there because it's a beautiful spot. It looks like Lake Como in the middle of San Francisco. But if two 49ers running backs get in, find out that they're getting in the year that the Super Bowl festivities are being held in San Francisco and the Bay Area, you wonder, will the 49ers get that extra preseason game, the Hall of Fame game in Canton? Meaning that their preseason would start earlier. Now, a lot of people might be up in arms about this, but veterans don't play in that first game. This would be a lot of young guys, most of whom would not make the final roster, but maybe a couple of whom would need that extra game experience will get a chance for the 49ers in that extra preseason game, in that earlier preseason game. So, and I've never gotten to cover the Hall of Fame game. I believe that the last time, the most recent time that the 49ers were in one, Tom Brady made his career debut against them. So this would have been a good 25, 26 years ago. The Patriots picked Brady in the 6th round and obviously did not expect him to become what he became, just kind of like Brock Purdy, picked late and turned into a superstar. But Brady entered the game against his childhood team, the 49ers, late in the 4th quarter of that Hall of Fame game. And I don't know how well he did. Nobody really cares how well he did, but the point is that he made his debut against San Francisco all those years ago, a quarter century ago. So who knows? If you go to the Hall of Fame game as the 49ers, maybe somebody makes his debut to a Hall of Fame career. Tom Brady did it back against San Francisco, and I'm getting ahead of myself. I think that the 49ers would be a candidate to be selected for that game if both Frank Gore and Roger Craig were inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. They would be inducted in Canton during the weekend of that game, but the selection, the voting has already happened and is going to be announced on Thursday. Now, some leaks have already come out. We know that no Bill Belichick and no Robert Kraft. That actually increases the likelihood of Roger Craig making the cut because those, I think, are all on the senior list. I don't really fully grasp how the voting works, but I know that you needed 40 votes to clear. And according to some of the leaks, it's speculated that Belichick finished with 39 and Robert Kraft, I think, finished with only 30 or maybe even less than that. So they did not make the cut there. Frank Gore would be on the active Hall of Fame, like the more recent players list, because he did retire 5 years ago. 49ers hired a new defensive coordinator this week. It is Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris used to coach under Sean McVay with the Los Angeles Rams. And we got a lot of interesting intel on Raheem Morris. I know that I've already broken this down very, very thoroughly as far as talking about the scheme agnostic that is Raheem Morris. And, you know, he's played Tampa 2 stuff at the start of his career under Monty Kiffin. That was John Gruden's staff with the Buccaneers. And then he moved, and that was a four-man front. That was a 4-3 defense, zone coverage in the back. And then he moved into more 3-4 stuff. He's dabbled in more blitzing. This past year, Atlanta, when Jeff Ulbrich came over to be Raheem Morris's defensive coordinator with the Falcons, blitzed at the second highest rate in the league. Only Brian Flores, who blitzes almost all the time with the Minnesota Vikings, called more blitzes. So there's been four-man front. There's been odd-man front. There's been a 3-year stretch with the Rams where Raheem Morris ran a 3-4 Fangio style following Brandon Staley. I mean, the guy has essentially been able to run everything in his NFL career. With Jeff Ulbrich, he implemented, and they did this with the Rams as well, so I don't want to say that this was just with Jeff Ulbrich with the Falcons, but there was a ton of penny front stuff that Raheem Morris and Jeff Ulbrich ran with the Falcons, which is a 3-3-5 alignment coming out of the 3-3-5, but you can run a 5-man front out of the 3-3-5. And it is, I think, one of the newer trends in football now that the 49ers would be very happy to embrace this year, because I think that they want to have that extra body in there against the run, but they also want to maintain some flexibility speed-wise on the back end against the pass. The penny front is a 5-1 alignment where you only really need one linebacker. And, of course, the 49ers have an all-world guy. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, he's going to be in Canton one day in Fred Warner. Given the fact that their linebacker position is not as strong as it used to be behind Fred Warner, I think a 5-1 front in certain situations makes a whole lot of sense. And I think that's one thing that made Raheem Morris very, very appealing. First things first, Sean McVay was in Cabo hanging out with Raheem Morris on the day that he was hired by the 49ers. So McVay had a Zoom call with the LA local media where he talked about it. I thought this was pretty funny. Let's have a listen.
You're going to see a lot more of Raheem because he's in San Francisco now. Just your thoughts on that.
It's great. You know, I mean, shoot, he's usually we get a chance, you know, we'll spend some time with them. You know, I was with Raheem and his wife yesterday out here, and so it is weird going against your buddy, but he's a great coach. I think part of the challenge is that this league is that it seems like, you know, you're coaching against some of your closest friends week in and week out, and it's a special thing that you don't take for granted. But you know, I wouldn't have minded if it was in a different division.
Raheem Morris is a good coach. I think nobody can question his prowess with X's and O's because he's been on both sides of the football. And Kyle Shanahan really respects that. I know that Sean McVay really respects that. Raheem twice now has been a head coach. And the reason that he's risen to head coaching post twice is because he has such a good reputation in the coaching community for his knowledge of the game. I talk about him taking different ideas from different stops and combining them into his coaching philosophy. Well, Raheem Morris had one of the best quotes that I've heard regarding this, and this comes back from 2021 before the season when the Rams initially hired him. So have a listen to Raheem Morris talking about borrowing. We'll use the term borrowing because it's a little bit kinder than the term that Raheem Morris uses, but have a listen to Raheem Morris speaking about borrowing schematic ideas from other coaches.
Thing is, the greatest coaches in this league are the best thieves. And I've been able to steal from these guys from afar for a long time. So to be able to be a part of it and steal some of the greatest things that you get from some great coaches like a Staley, the Vic Fangio system, whether you're talking about the Monty Kiffin Tampa 2 or the Tony Dungy Tampa 2, however you want to word it, whatever you want to go, whichever great coach you want to bring about. It's all about those things. But at the end of the day, it all goes back to the competitiveness of the team, the toughness of the team, the physicality of the team, the hustle and hit of the team. You know, some of the core beliefs that we're going to be a part of here. This is a fundamental team. This is a fundamentally developed team. And they did a great job of developing these guys fundamentally. Some they went out and bought, like a Jalen Ramsey. And he's a fundamentally sound, absolute just dog competitor. And he's an absolute dog guy that you want to go out there with toughness and to be able to play. Then you got guys like Aaron Donald that they have been able to draft and acquire throughout the draft and do some of the things that way, who just develop into these great players. And then after you get a few great players, you get people around them that find that they're just better than what they even thought. And they become better versions of themselves. And so do the coaches. And it's no secret that the Rams coaching staff has just been rated the way it has been because of the thing they've been able to do here. And it starts with our leader, Sean McVay.
So I hope you can see the parallels here. Obviously, Shanahan, McVay, that there's a big parallel there. He said that all great coaches are really good thieves. So you have to be able to take ideas, borrow them, or I guess steal them, as Raheem Morris just said. And he's been able to steal ideas from Monty Kiffin and the old school Tampa 2, followed by Tony Dungy's adjustments to that Tampa 2 once Tony Dungy entered the fray in Tampa Bay. Then he worked under the Rams, where the whole Brandon Staley, Vic Fangio 3-4 had been installed over the course of especially 2020. That was coming off the Wade Phillips era. But he was able to embrace that because he had some of those players with the Rams. He talked about foundational pillars, right? He talked about Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. The 49ers are built on the same foundational pillar premise where you've got certain load-bearing walls that are entrusted to be force multipliers, to raise the profile of guys around them. So it's not Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey for the 49ers, but they do have Nick Bosa, who'll be returning to health in 2026. They do have Fred Warner. They have a really good corner in Diamador Lenore. Those are your foundational pillars on defense. How can you create an environment where those guys are going to elevate those around them? And I think that we already saw some of that elevation last year, even despite the 49ers' massive injury issues. One massive piece of elevation was Upton Stout, the rookie. And if he continues playing the way that he did, especially toward the end of his rookie season, he's going to become a foundational pillar as well. Upton Stout, the 49ers rookie nickel back in 2025, led all NFL corners in pressures. That meant that they blitzed him a lot. The volume of blitzes was considerable, dialed up by Robert Saleh for Upton Stout. And he saw a relatively high level of success on those blitzes that I think will only increase in 2026. Why? Because if you're going to run a 5-1 penny front, then you got 5 down linemen. They're not all going to be rushing the quarterback on every single down. There's going to be, there are going to be situations where one of the defensive ends is going to be on the outside of Michael Williams. I'm going to talk about in a little bit, but he's going to be forced into coverage. So there are going to be ways for the 49ers to ensure that Nick Bosa is rushing the passer and not dropping back all too often if they're running these types of alignments. But one of the mandatory safety valves that the 49ers are going to have is Upton Stout's going to have to deliver big for them because there's going to be more pressure on the nickel back and on the safeties with only a 5-1 alignment with technically only one linebacker in some of these penny fronts. Stout's going to have to come after the quarterback. I mean, last year, Ulbrich and Morris blitzed their defensive backs a ton. Second highest rate in football behind only Brian Flores, as I said, for Atlanta. But he's also going to have to cover. He's going to have to be the Swiss Army knife that the 49ers drafted him to be. And I see big things and a huge role for Upton Stout moving forward under Raheem Morris. I also see Michael Williams playing on the inside almost exclusively, especially if they're running a lot of this 5-man stuff. Because you're going to have ends on the outside of Michael Williams, which means that he's not going to be operating as an exterior rusher. I think that's what you want as the 49ers. I think it's an Eric Armstead type of evolution. Armstead started as a guy who they flip-flop between the edge and the defensive tackle position. Then Armstead in 2021, when the 49ers defense made the, I could say it's a tweak, but it was a big shift. In 2021, they moved Armstead mid-season inside full-time. He got to work against guards with his height, with his arm length, and his athleticism. That was a huge key for the run-stopping prowess of that defense and allowed the 49ers to make it all the way to the NFC Championship game. And now later in his career, I know Eric is now with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's delivering on the outside again. He's playing a little bit of both again for Jacksonville, versatile player. I think that the vision for Mykel Williams is similar, and you get an adaptable defensive coordinator into the mix because you have adaptable pieces and you want to fully leverage their abilities. And I think that Raheem Morris is somebody who definitely falls into that category. It's going to be fascinating to see how they build up the personnel around Raheem Morris, because that's going to tell us what part of his repertoire, because he's got so many different stops on his resume, what part of his repertoire is he going to lean into most heavily. But I think that the 49ers are going to be very multiple defensively under Raheem Morris, and I do think that it is a necessary schematic evolution. We just so happen to be in the capital of innovation. Steve Jobs said it best back in 1994. Good artists copy, great artists steal. Raheem Morris said that the best coaches are the best thieves. So I think that Steve Jobs was spot on. Could have been talking about football as well. In our sandwich video yesterday, Steve Jobs ate at Ike's. Make sure that you do check out the sandwich video. I'm probably not going to play it right now. I'm going to have to hit the road in a little bit to head down to San Jose, but I think that the Super Bowl week has been, and it continues to be, a great opportunity to showcase some of the best that the Bay Area has to offer. And that sandwich video that I made, which was promised, by the way, for 2 years, it finally dropped. It's like Dr. Dre's new album. Remember that it took, it was a long time coming for that. But the sandwich video finally out. And I think that this was the week to do it, because we're seeing all these tributes to Bay Area Titans, the innovation of the region. And we're obviously talking about the history of the 49ers. And then we're showing the beauty of San Francisco and the food of the city. Well, I think that there is no food that San Francisco does better than sandwiches. If you're going to be looking at a certain food item, especially one that is accessible to all, right? We're not going to be talking about fine dining restaurants. It is going to be the sandwich. And was proud to make that, proud to put in all the work that I did over the past 2 years or so to make that, to eat a lot of sandwiches. I have to swim in the bay to stay in shape, otherwise it would be rough eating all those sandwiches. But Steve Jobs ate at Ike's, the godfather of San Francisco sandwiches, before he passed away. And so many other of the greats of the Bay Area, sporting greats and tech greats, business guys, ate at Ike's and have eaten some of the food that I was able to feature. So it was a really, really good time to really put that on display yesterday. So I do hope everybody has a chance to check that out. In a way, a good way to celebrate 100,000 subscribers, right? Go back to one of the big food videos. We've done a lot of that. We've mixed it in. I think that's what's made this channel the best one covering the 49ers, is that it's not just aimed in one direction. People have copied that, but I guess that play callers copy each other too, so not that big of a deal. But the bottom line is that we do it better than anyone else, and our subscribers are real and they're not fake. So we're winning the battle. I think we also have 110 million views in the history of this channel. So that is something that I have to thank all of you for, because you've done a great job tuning in, subscribing, spreading the word. And this week, we just get to enjoy everything. We get to eat some sandwiches. We get to be in sunny San Francisco. The schedule's going to pick up here over the course of the next few days. And now I'm going to head down to the South Bay, where the Seahawks have their availability. And then a little surprise stop on the way back up to San Francisco. You can guess where it might be. Taking a look for a couple questions, and then I'm going to hit the road. Yes, you need that Dutch crunch on the East Coast. I think it's starting to spread. That's one area that I didn't explore in the sandwich video. I know Nashville's got a spot where the owner spent his formative years as a chef in San Francisco, and he discovered the Dutch crunch bread. And I think that New York now has a couple spots as well. But the Bay Area and San Francisco in particular is the sandwich capital of the world. Are there honestly people arguing that Frank Gore should not be in the Hall of Fame? Because I'm not going to even entertain that. I just peeked into the comment section. I think it's time for me to close the comment section. I'd rather talk about the food video. Everybody go from right here, hit the subscribe button, go check out the sandwich video. I've got to get out into the wild here, into the Bay Area, because there's a lot to cover here on Super Bowl week. Everybody, thanks for watching. We will talk to you soon.